Hi everyone. In this video I'm going to do a quick breakdown of reading a fingering chart for flute, clarinet, a little bit of saxophone, trumpet, and trombone. Strings, I'm going to have a separate version for you as soon as the string books that I ordered are here. But I promise that will be up as soon as I can. With reading the fingering charts, in the back of the method book, which is the red book that you're all getting either this week or will be getting early next week if you were absent or if you were a Monday class, in the back of that book, there's what we call a fingering chart. As you can see here, it has a lot of the different notes that you can play on the instrument, and it tells you what you have to do in order to get the proper fingering for that instrument. For flute, clarinet, and saxophone, because you have a series of buttons and or holes that you have to cover with your fingers, when they give you a simple diagram of the buttons that you're typically going to cover. They don't usually use a lot of the keys on the sides because you rarely use those. But they give you the main holes or buttons that you're supposed to press. If it's shaded in, that means you cover that hole or press down that button. If it's left blank, so for example, blank would be that circle right here that I'm pointing at, then you don't have to do anything. You leave that hole uncovered. So let's break it down simply with flute and clarinet. With flute, we have our fingering chart here. The note we're going to learn, or look at today, is this D here. As you can see, the first circle is uncovered, the next two are covered, up here, and then these three are covered, and this little side key is not. And then below, this first key is uncovered, and this second one is covered. To break it down a little simply, that little part in between the two lines here is what the thumb on the back of the instrument is doing. So this key is uncovered, this one is pressed. So you're going to press down with your left thumb there. Now, the first three refer to the position for your left hand. The second three are for your right hand. So with your left hand, we cover these three holes usually. The first one is uncovered for D, and the other two are covered. So your middle and your ring fingers of your left hand are going to be pressing down, and your left thumb is pressing down as well. Now, as I switch hands, we're going to look at the right hand. As we saw in the diagram, these first three are covered, and that last one is uncovered. What that means with the flute is fairly simple. Normally, your right hand goes on, your index, middle, and ring fingers go here, and your pinky goes on this side key right here, which lines up perfectly with that diagram. So your index, your middle, and your ring fingers are pressed down, and your pinky is up, as such. And then, looking at the full flute, the left thumb is down, middle and ring fingers are down with the left hand, 1, 2, and 3 with the right hand, but no pinky. And there's your D on the flute. We're going to do a similar thing with the clarinet now. It's the same basic principle as what we just did with the flute. The fingering chart tells you which holes to cover, which to not cover. For today, we'll look at this, the E. Ignore the F flat, that's just a different way to write it. It's the same thing, it's the E. There's two little lines up here. In one of those lines, there's a oval-ish shaped key and a circular key. Those are the two keys that your thumb presses here. If it's just that little circle, your thumb goes back here. If it's both, you would press down this key while covering it with your thumb the whole time. For most of the notes that we're going to learn for the first half of the year, we don't have to worry about that. You just have to keep your thumb covering as long as that little circle is shaded in, as it is. Now, if we look at the 6 circles going down, only the first one is covered. We know that the left hand goes on top of the clarinet. So the left thumb is covering here. 1, 2, 3. And then with your right hand, 1, 2, 3. Pinkies we'll worry about at a different time. But only the first circle was shaded in. So thus, with my left hand, I'm covering the first circle, the first open tone hole. We call them tone holes. We're covering the first tone hole. And there's the E. So hopefully that's starting to make a little more sense. Where it gets slightly easier or more confusing, depending on your perspective, is with the brass instruments, so trumpet and trombone. Oh, I almost forgot to say, saxophones have the exact same system as the clarinet and as the flute. I just do not have the saxophone books here yet, so I'll wait to make a separate video for you on that. With the trumpet and trombone, your method books use 2 methods. Sometimes they'll use a series, for trumpets they'll use 3 circles, otherwise they'll just write in numbers. For the numbers, for the trumpets it tells you which valve to push down. There's only 3 different valves that you have, or you could have none of them down at all. In trombones, there's 7 different slide positions that you can use, and it also gives you a breakdown of exactly where your slide has to be for each position. So let's start with the trumpet. And let's first look at this E right here. It says 1, 2 underneath it. It does not mean 12. All it means is that you're going to take your trumpet and your valves, going left to right, 1, 2, 3. Only 1 and 2 are there, which means that you only cover the first and the second valve. The third valve stays up. If we looked at a different note, say this F down here, it only says 1. So thus, just 1. And if we looked at this C right here, it says 0. There's no valve 0. All the 0 tells you is that you're not putting any valves down at all. Trombone, it's a similar system. They have the numbers there for you, and corresponding the slide positions for you. Let's look at this D right here. It has the number 4 underneath it, which tells you it's in 4th position. Let's look over here and find 4th position. It tells you exactly where you need to go. The brace in the middle of the slide is going to be slightly past the bell. And as a nice visual reference, I have my trombone preset to 4th position over here. These little notches, right here, these little notches, where the slide comes back to the top of the instrument when it's all the way in right there. So these little notches, where it goes from slide to the silver tubing, that lines up with the bell, and there you have 4th position. Allow me to put the camera back over here for just 1 second so you can see what it looks like. Fourth position. Let's look at a different note. How about this E? That has a number 2 below it, which tells us it's in 2nd position. Right over here, we find 2nd position. That brace of the slide, right over here, the brace of the slide, which is this bar right here, that's our checkpoint. So as we can see, it doesn't come out very far at all. So now I'm going to move my trombone into 2nd position. And there we go. The slide is almost all the way in. If it was all the way in, it would look like this. But we're moving it slightly out. And there we have 2nd position. Hopefully that gives you all a bit of a clearer breakdown of how to read the fingering charts. Strings, you have a different system that you use. Some of you have already seen the stickers that I'm putting on the instruments to show you where your fingers go. And we'll do more of that, and as the string books come in soon, within the next couple of days, hopefully, I will make a video for you specifically about how to read fingering charts and position guides in there. Saxophones, like I said, you're almost the same as the flutes and clarinets. You just have a slightly different diagram of buttons that you can choose from, but it's fairly self-explanatory, and it's also in your book, and I will always go over these things with you as needed in class. Please let me know if you have any questions, concerns, confusion, whatever I can do to make this clearer for you. Hopefully, now that we're starting to take books home, and we all almost have instruments to take home and practice on our own, we will be able to use the fingering charts to start learning notes, reviewing notes, and if you progress far enough ahead in the book, starting to learn some new notes on your own. And I always encourage you to work forward. Just make sure that you're learning the exercises that we're supposed to properly first. So, that is your breakdown on how to use the fingering charts in your book. I hope that it made sense. Like I said, questions, concerns, leave comments on the video, leave comments on Google Classroom that I can see and reply to. Send me emails, whatever you need, or come to Extra Help Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7:45 to 8:20 in the morning. Try to let me know you're coming beforehand. And I will see you in class. In the meantime, happy practicing, and please make sure you use your fingering charts the right way.